I'm dancing werewolf. I'm dancing werewolf.
Action. This is day one. 90 Minutes Revenge of the Werewolf. How cool is that?
Wait, are we filming?
Guys, you gotta like clap or something.
This is behind the scenes.
Hold on. All right.
Wait,
Day
Luke,
one
you
of
filming?
90 Minutes
Yeah.
Revenge of
Hey,
the
what's
Werewolf.
up?
How
Yo,
cool
okay.
is that?
How cool is that?
It is the most popular adventure of all time. It's one of the most groundbreaking sagas in film history. It captured imaginations all around the world and catapulted 5 young performers to superstardom. The 90 Minutes trilogy didn't just change the way we look at movies, it changed the way that movies are made. What began as a revolutionary adventure tale became a success story beyond one man's wildest dreams.
So, I was the director and also co-creator of 90 Minutes and kind of writer. Even though we didn't write it, we just kind of came up with the plot as we went along. But yeah, I directed. I mean, we all kind of had a hand in a little bit of everything, but I was the guy behind the camera.
So, I was an actor in 90 Minutes. I played Father and Cleaver McGeever, and played a werewolf once, actually, as well. So, did a little bit of everything in 90 Minutes.
Hello, I'm Rob Kilgore. I was a co-creator and I also played Son in 90 Minutes. As you know, I had to put on an accent for the film, so for the sake of this interview, I will do my Son accent, which sounds something like this. Why are we a part of the games, Father?
Most of the work that I did for 90 Minutes was kind of behind the scenes with producing and helping with directing with Mike and Luke and editing that together. So Mike, Luke, and I were kind of all three involved. Obviously after Phantom, which I wasn't involved with at all, but with Attack and Revenge, we were all kind of working together on the creative side of things, getting everything figured out, and pushing that forward in that sense. So that was kind of where I was involved.
I was the star of 90 Minutes, the most important character, the ultimate hunter. Hunted werewolves for a living, killed several thousand in his days.
Ooh. We got some questions to ask you.
Right now?
Right now.
Okay.
Right. So what was your job in making 90 Minutes?
I was the werewolf in one of the movies, and in the third movie, I was on an ATV helping Mike film some of the running scenes. And I was just emotional support overall.
Well, it all started when we were kids. We always wanted to make movies, and so we made this little, we made part of this little dumb movie called Indiana Jerk, which was a parody of Indiana Jones. And that was kind of like, I would say, our first attempt at making a movie.
Back in the day, we really plagiarized all the movies we watched, so we included things from classics like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Paul Blart Mall Cop, the essentials of film. And we made Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we started just the 6 of us making movies, and we never finished it. So those lost films are out there somewhere, and hopefully you find them one day. But
Then what do you want? Yeah, Indiana Jerk. That was our first attempt with the same crew at making a film. I think we were probably like 10 or 11, and we wanted to make this Indiana Jones parody, and it was Indiana Jerk, and I was the bad guy in that one too, and I was Vex Sims, which I think is the bad guy from Mall Cop, right?
I think the first film project I ever did was 90 Minutes. I mean, when I was like 12 or 13, I made some stupid YouTube videos of me and Damon and Luke on the trampoline, like dunking, but besides that, I never did anything film-worthy.
What about Indiana Jerk?
I forgot. There was this one movie.
Years ago, we did Indiana Jerk. It's like an Indiana Jones parody. We were all really young, but I mean, I didn't have a huge role in that. Like, I was barely involved. So I guess the first one I consider for myself would be The Search for Sasquatch. It was a Finding Bigfoot parody. I want to remaster it.
So I think that's how it all started. And then eventually we kind of realized that we can do bigger and we can do better. And you know, we started aiming higher. And so we made 90 minutes because it was just a story that had to be told. You know, we didn't really come up with the idea or the story. The story came up with us.
And then we got older, and we realized, hey, we should do this again, but better. So then we made 90 minutes. Now, 90 minutes, leagues above Raiders. All right, we got home one day, and we had a little bit of time before we needed to be somewhere, and we had the exact amount of time, 90 minutes.
In this one afternoon, we were all bored, and we were just like, 90 minutes, that would be a good movie name. And then we wrote a story around it, and we really wanted to capture the American family during the 80s. So 90 Minutes was born.
Well, it all started back when, probably a few months ago, me, Mike, Robbie, Luke, and Quaxter were all hanging out. And we thought about making it was actually started off as a Harambe tribute, but we didn't have a gorilla mask and we were too cheap to buy one. And Damon had some werewolf masks, so we ended up running with werewolf.
So they ended up deciding to make this movie. Mike had his iPhone, and I don't really know how the idea of 90 Minutes, the Phantom Werewolf, came about, because I wasn't there. But yeah, they made this movie while I was running, and I came back. And all I know is they made this movie. I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't involved in the first one at all.
We had me, Mike, Levi, Robbie, and Chris.
So there wasn't anything specific that gave us the idea for 90 Minutes. It was we were originally just going to get a gorilla mask and make the video a Harambe tribute. Rest in peace. And but then we realized we only had the werewolf mask. And so I just kind of said, like, Levi, go stand at the door and open it and yell at these guys talking. And we made a movie from there. It's just kind of how it started. It just kind of happened as we went along.
So the idea for 90 Minutes came from the name 90 Minutes. And we were wondering, like, what could a story called 90 Minutes be about? And we came up with this idea, originally not even about werewolves, it was about a gorilla and a hunter. And that hunter later turned into Sun, and the gorilla turned into a werewolf by necessity of what costumes we had.
We were like, okay, let's make a movie about a werewolf. So Mike, he got his camera, and I sat down next to Robbie, and he was like, all right, talk a little bit about something, and then Levi's going to come out in a werewolf mask, and then that's how 90 Minutes was born.
I didn't expect it to be good at all, When we first filmed it, we thought it was just going to be like a little 5-minute stupid YouTube video on my channel. But we turned out to really like it, We turned out to be really invested in it. Like, I remember the first time after Luke edited it, he put it all together and he showed us, and we were blown away.
Alright, guys. Hold on. Alright, guys. I am done.
What?
Yes, I am done.
But since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the first time.
Because we'd never seen something we made with real effects and edited, edited together. It was just the coolest thing, even though it was kind of a dumb movie, it was the coolest thing to see our own creation as a real thing.
Did I expect it to be good? No. In all honesty, no, because we were just making a quick movie, and we never edited anything together, and we thought, hey, we'll just do this thing. We really never thought it would even be completed. right? But you know, we filmed it, and we actually had a coherent story, and then when we put it all on in the editor, it actually came together, like, surprisingly. And now, then we have two sequels, a Christmas special, and now a documentary. So, did I expect to be good? No. Was it? That's a resounding yes, let me tell you.
I think something about 90 Minutes that struck me initially was that it was very self-aware of what it was. I think a lot of YouTube films, like a lot of home movies, well, first of all, they're not shot really very intentionally. They're shot very statically, and 90 Minutes wasn't. But more than that, it never went out of its way to try to be too funny, and when it did, it was very self-aware of, hey, this is a film that is being made by young adults or teens, and we're not expecting it to be like this super dramatic, or when it is, it's almost like a self-parody, and it's self-depreciating in that way, which made it even more funny, because we never approached it, at least the 90 Minutes films that I've been involved in, we never approached it in a self-depreciating way. We approach it very seriously, but under the assumption and in this frame of, yes, this is by nature, because of what it is, going to be a very self-depreciating kind of parody of a film. And that's just really funny. It's really funny. And that's what struck me. You know, I think, to be honest, that's kind of the genius of it when I first saw it, and it immediately just stood out to me. And I was like, yeah, I gotta be involved in this.
No. I did not expect 90 Minutes to be good at all. I mean, we were just filming a bunch of disjointed scenes together. I had no idea what the story was going to be, but if it weren't for the editing skills of Luke Wright, it probably wouldn't have been good. But it was, so.
I didn't think we were going to run as far with it as we did. I thought it was just going to be like a little joke for the day, but then we ended up running it, and yeah, it ended up pretty good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
90 Minutes is always going to be good, no matter what you do. If you have a bunch of guys with a camera and a bunch of props, it's just going to end up good. There's no way of preventing that.
That's actually a really interesting question for me, because I came in later, and I had to figure out how to work with a cast that was already established in a setting that I really didn't know anything about. Yeah, and I was coming in also as the only villain. So all these guys are kind of, you know, on this side, having worked together, and I have to figure out how to inject myself into this and have a presence. And of course, you know, we're all friends, and it was really easy to get chemistry going really quickly.
You know, like they always say on a movie set that, oh, you know, the cast really became friends, but we were already friends.
Bees, we're almost there. Best place, Mees is the place to be.
Working with the cast was good. I mean, we already have great chemistry, so of course we're going to have great chemistry as in a movie.
Bloody hell!
Sorry. Sorry. What was the question?
The cast is pretty fun. We had fun cast after filming parties. We get to know each other very well and grow like a family. 90 Minutes family. Really touching in the heart.
The cast was awful. It was horrible. They suck.
One of the scenes that really strikes out to me, one of the first scenes, was when I step out from behind the tree, and father and son run out, and they fall on the ground, and you know, they have the tissue box or the dryer sheet box. It's a box of something, and they got to throw it at me, you know, to try to wound me or whatever. And Luke was throwing it at me, and he couldn't stop hitting me in the balls, like every single time, time after time after time. It was like right in the crotch. And that was just the funniest thing. So I think that was one of the first scenes we shot together. So there was a sense of like team chemistry that happened really, really early on. And I felt very much a part of the cast and very much a part of 90 Minutes.
B-roll, more like P-roll, am I right? Oh!
I can't zoom in that much, but he's peeing over there.
So Mike, he was the director, man. He's really at the heart of what 90 Minutes is, really. You know, other people are in and out, and you know, different projects have different really people behind it. But Mike's been behind all of them, really. You know, from Phantom to Attack to Revenge, and even the Christmas Carol. You know, he's been the director of all of them. So any of the shots you see that are like, oh man, like that's really cool. I mean, it's all him. So we got Mike to thank for that.
He said cut very loudly. He said action loudly, so we were all ready for our impromptus. It was good.
I mean, we have the director. He always has these like plans for camera angles and where we should be, how the shot should look. You know, I don't really like to think about this stuff so much, so I just have him tell me where I need to go, and it works well.
I remember we were going through the script, and Mike says, whoa, hold on. I don't think he should be drinking there. I think he should be eating something, because eating is more intimate than drinking. Like, who else thinks of that for these, like, stupid little home movies? Who else puts that kind of effort and that kind of thought?
Luke Wright, he's a good actor, yeah. I mean, he's like the main role, basically. He's good at what he does, definitely. He knows how to portray characters perfectly.
We don't need him to face you. We've got us, the 90 Minutes crew. That's not good.
Nope. See, the real chemistry I had going in 90 Minutes was with Father. You know, we have this, in the movie, a father-son dynamic that I think comes from me being good friends with the actor Luke Wright. So that's why father and son worked so well.
Luke, Father, was very good as an actor. Put a lot of emotion into this film. Also, behind the scenes, very nice. He helped carton a fake body into the woods and didn't even get arrested, which was really good.
I think Luke was probably the best person to work with, the easiest cast member to connect with. I mean, he's a great actor, so how can you not connect well with him? But I'm thinking back to some of the scenes that we had together, we were involved in together, and there was just this great energy about it. And it was really fun to do scenes with him. Nothing felt forced. It felt like, hey, we've got our thing down, so, you know, and we just kind of work off of each other. And Luke would kind of have this look on his face, and I'd react to that. It was just a lot of reacting to each other, and it was so much fun. So Luke was great to work with.
He's my brother.
So Robe, the my other half in 90 Minutes, really. You know, he father and son, their relationship is at the core of 90 Minutes, and me and Robbie just kind of, we figured out that thing that we needed. We got that chemistry on screen that, you know, like you wouldn't expect, right? You know, Robbie, you know, he said his lines.
Why are we part of the games, Father?
And, you know, he did a good job. So we got Robbie to thank for the essence of Son as it is. You know, a no-nonsense Vietnam War vet that he doesn't take it from anyone. You know?
Well, Robbie and I mean, we grew up together. And I think we're very, very different people. But we have, you know, that shared understanding because we're brothers. And we get frustrated at each other a lot because we're very different people. So sometimes he'd be goofing off and I'd get frustrated with him, or sometimes like I'd be doing something he wouldn't be happy with it. But, you know, who Robbie is essential to his character, I think, in a way that I don't think anyone else in 90 Minutes is. Like, Son would not work with anyone else, and that's only because Robbie is who he is. And I didn't really have a lot of interaction with that, and I couldn't really touch that. It was like his own thing, and I think it had to be to make his character believable.
Rob Kilgore.
Actually, I'm not Son. I'm terrorist Son.
Okay, so. You good, yo?
Of fighting.
I'm like Bard.
That's
Right.
not necessarily the
I
same
just killed
thing.
Smaug.
All right, let's do that.
I can't have it.
That's not gonna work. This is.
I have to get it out.
It's fine. We just need the practice shot. Go.
You think you got problems? My TV don't work.
Keep
My
talking.
TV don't work.
Soon.
What can I get you? Why are you behind me, bar?
And.
Damn it, Rob!
What are you doing?
He's leaving. He's gone.
He's gone.
He just
We
left.
can't film Revenge of the Werewolf.
Damn it, Robbie! Pay attention.
It's over.
All right, I have a question for all you viewers.
Why are we a part of the game?
Yeah.
Could you tell me one thing?
What's that?
Why are we a part? Why are we a part of the game?
Yo, fat.
Yeah.
I think so.
No one's answered my question.
Which one?
Why are we a part of the
yo,
games?
Rest in peace.
I was working with Rob Kilgore.
No comment.
Damon Kilgore, he's actually a very good actor. He's very in control, you know. He's kind of demanding, just like his character, the government, you know. I think maybe the character was based on him just a little bit.
So Damon Kilgore, yeah, he came in on the second 90 minutes attack of the werewolf, and he added this menace and this fear that no one else could have brought to the government. You know, when he walks on screen from behind that tree out of nowhere, it's like, hey, wow, like, this got serious.
All right. So Damon Kilgore, also known as the government. Well, he's this very serious kind of guy, you know. Always angry if you get something wrong, just like, no, make it happen, you know. Like, I mean, no nonsense kind of guy.
He's immortal. You can't say anything bad about that man. He's the best actor, period, in 90 minutes.
Damon was very serious. He's really into that 90 minutes. He has the 90-minute spirit. And probably an integral. He was integral to the film, and he has the 90-minute spirit. He helps the engine keep running. The 90 minutes engine, he gives it fuel.
Chris Kilgore? I think you mean the hardest working man I know.
So Chris. Yeah, Chris Kilgore, man, like in my mind, he's the best actor out of all of us. He captured what we were looking for, or maybe even what we weren't looking for, because we knew we needed an ultimate hunter, right? We needed someone who was the best at what he did. And we didn't know what it was. And we were like, hey, Chris, this is what we need, right? And he went with it, man. He rolled with it. He created his own backstory. He was a method actor about it. And we didn't ask him to do a French accent. He just did it. You know, we were like, yo, we just need this hunter. And he's like,
He doesn't speak a word of English. It was really hard to communicate with him and just get all that together.
Sacre bleu, mother. Quackster's probably one of the funniest people in the crew. He's constantly making jokes and just telling me not to touch him, so it's pretty funny.
Levi is a scary man who may or may not have a basement full of children.
I mean, I'm gonna be upfront with you. Quackster was the most frustrating person to work with.
Damn it, Chris.
And it's not because he wasn't doing anything wrong. It's just because Quackster is, like, he's a character.
Keep going, man.
Fix something quickly.
Chris, why aren't you saying?
My beard was
Oh my god.
it's fine, right? Is it fine? Is it not fine?
Oh.
Frick.
And he just, I mean, he's another one of my brothers, so maybe I have a bias.
He's my younger brother too, so maybe that annoys me just in itself. Like I have an inherent annoyance because older brothers always do towards younger brothers.
I was on top of.
But I remember sometimes, and there are a few scenes where he'd do something, I'd be just like, Quackster, what are you doing? Or the Sakura Blue scene, I think, was one of them. There were like 3 or 4 bloopers. He like jumps out. It's like, ugh, Chris, like, no, not like that. Or like, Chris, ugh, no, not like that. You're like, you're being ridiculous. Stop doing this. But again, I think Quackster's another one of those characters that, yeah, if he wasn't so ridiculous, he just, him as a person wasn't so ridiculous, the Ultimate Hunter would kind of be boring. And I think that's the key to a lot of these characters and a lot of like the cast members, is that we put ourselves into these people, and without that it would be so boring. Because yeah, I mean, Son is Son, yeah, the Ultimate Hunter is Quackster, but really it's just Robbie and Chris acting these characters, and it's still Robbie and Chris. They still have an essential nature of Robbie and Chris about them. Like, they're not trying to be someone else. And I think that's important.
Being the beloved Ultimate Hunter really affected my life. Gave me all those feelings of greatness, of hope, of stars. I am a star now because of 90 Minutes, the best film series ever.
So Josh, he wasn't in it that much, but he came in attack like Damon did, and we needed a private investigator. And Josh, he had a trench coat, so we were like, he is the guy. Let me tell you. So that's really how his character was created, you know. And fun fact, actually, the hat that Private Eye wears in 90 Minutes is the same hat that Josh wore as Indiana Jerk back in the day for Raiders. So that's just a little fun fact for you. Does it mean anything? Who knows? You'll just have to watch Indiana Jerk when we find it, maybe.
So Josh was another friend of mine that I've known for a very long time, and I think shooting with him reflected that. We work fine together.
You say your shit first. All right,
I
hold
don't
on.
know what I'm supposed to say.
Say,
Alright,
what do you want?
I barely saw him. I don't think we had any scenes together. Any scene he was in, I wasn't in. I know him as a person, he's meh, but as a cast, I can't say that. As a cast member, I don't know how he is.
Josh Van Laarhoven was good. I mean, he didn't do much because his character ran away before the big battle scene, but, you know, guess that's how they get you.
Yeah, so Levi, I think I kind of came in, you know, if I'm thinking about this, Levi was in Phantom as the werewolf, so he was like the bad guy. And then I think the next day he couldn't film at all. And I think we were planning on having him in some sort of role, and he couldn't. So I think I kind of came in as like, hey, we need a bad guy. It's not going to be Levi. Levi can't be the werewolf, so we need a new character, and that obviously became me. So I had seen his work in Phantom, and I didn't work with him at all in Attack, but for Revenge, everyone kind of came back, and Levi didn't want to act or whatever for some reason that day. He wasn't into it. But what he did end up doing for Revenge is he ended up riding the ATV, because for the big fight scene and for a couple of the other scenes, the running scenes, we actually filmed those on an ATV. And granted, this was the first time that Levi had ever ridden an ATV, and we're trying to do this filming stuff, and we're being super serious and trying to get it done because it was so cold out. I remember that it was so cold out, and I was in this vest and these pants, and I was freezing my butt off. And you know, Levi's riding back and forth on this ATV, and I remember for one particular scene we're trying to get it rolling, and Levi goes flying by, and he's like, "I love 90 Minutes."
Levi, how you liking filming right now?
I love it! 90 minutes, baby!
Jeez, Levi. But no, I mean, he was fun to work with, and he was fun to have on the set too, because he had an energy about him, and he was really excited, because I remember he just wanted to ride the ATV as much as possible. So, he was all about shooting it 4 or 5 times. Like, yeah, you want to shoot again? Cool. I get to ride around the ATV in circles for another 20 minutes. So that was completely fine with him. So he was very much integral in the integral. I can never say that word.
An integral. He was integral to the film.
In getting those scenes as they were, because without his enthusiasm, they wouldn't have come together.
I just don't even know. Sometimes he's all A-okay. Sometimes he just gets a little weird. You just have to deal with it because of his talent.
J.J. Roble is the worst actor I have ever worked with, witnessed, seen. Like, he is literally such a bad actor. I can't even. It's unsurmountable.
JJ? Oh, awful actor. Like, we'd be taking something and shot after shot after shot of rubbish. Like, oh, sorry. Just over and over again, we'd have to do every take because he cannot say a sentence in English.
J.J. Roble, bad actor, but he does do good when he's that guy who gets thrown out of the car. Probably his finest scene, or a government scrub when he gets shot. But when he was Tiny Tim, he could not deliver his lines correctly. And I think we should just cut that and replace it with another Tiny Tim. Say, I don't know, maybe Levi in 20 years.
J.J. Roble was one of the crappiest actors in the world. We gave him one line, probably the easiest line to remember in any movie ever, and he's just like,
Oh, J.J. Roble, worst actor I've ever worked with. It's not just the worst actor, the most unprofessional actor I've ever had the displeasure of being around. He's not only incompetent in his lines, but he's just, he's really, like, the way he goes about things, it just doesn't make sense. Like, when you had him as government scrub number 2, he didn't say much. We killed him off pretty quickly. Then he was vehicle owner number 1, and his scream wasn't very believable, if I'm honest, when he was pulled out of the car. But it's kind of like a girlish scream, like, what?
Get out of here! We need this guy!
We didn't ask him to do that, but and then when it really gets bad, when you really start to notice the horribleness of his acting, is when A Christmas Carol comes around, and you have the classic scene of Bob Cratchit coming home, and Emily, and then we have Tiny Tim and JJ. We're like, okay, so you need to say, isn't it great we're all together on Christmas? And for some godforsaken reason, JJ thinks what we asked him to say is,
isn't it great for all of us to be together on Christmas?
What? Excuse me? I didn't... Incomprehensible. And this whole time while he's doing it, he's flipping a freaking water bottle.
Action.
I'm sorry. The government kept me late at work again.
That terrible man. He has no decency. At least we're together.
You gotta cut the bottle, man. What the?
How unprofessional can you be? Hands down, worst. Worst.
Worst actor? Definitely JJ.
Like, as we went along, we came up with different story, points. We're like, okay, we need werewolf. We need a father and son. We need Vietnam, of course, right? So we had these certain points, and then we touched on some subjects here and there.
See, as fun as it was, 90 minutes, we did end up touching on some sensitive subjects. Like, for instance, father was a drug addict and an alcoholic.
I took to the drink. I took to the weed. I know I did a little coke. I didn't mean to.
And he abused his son.
What do you mean?
Her head fell off.
Gah!
So, we really felt we should speak on that,
In Vietnam, when father finds out that his wife has been decapitated, all bets are off, It doesn't matter that they're at war with the Vietnamese, or that his son is his son and on his side in the war. You know, father, he takes a turn real quick. And frankly, how he, you know, he took to the drink and he took to the weed and he did a little coke. I don't know how he did that in the Army, personally. Maybe that's a story for another time. But
in the first movie, there was some taking of the drink, some taking of the weed, and that hit a lot of us at home because we're all ex-addicts. So the fact that we brought that back into our film series, we're all clean now.
Yeah, do you honestly think it was an accident that we made the villain the government? I mean, what does that show you? You know, this oppressive character who's always lurking and always ready to crush the heroes. I mean, there's a reason he's the government. So I think we definitely wanted to characterize this big villainous character, and I think that says a lot about, you know, our current political system. You know, the government being everywhere and getting in everyone's business and just trying to ultimately punch your face. You know, sending werewolves after everyone. Yeah, it's no joke. There's a lot of allegory and metaphor or what have you there. Maybe not even. It's just completely. It's not a very discreet message. Government's after you. They're out to get you. Don't forget it.
We touched on drugs and father's drug problem. I think that really struck a chord with a lot of people, you know. Like, I think a lot of people were able to relate to it. As well as the hard relationship between father and son. Like, father's obviously not a great father, but he tries his hardest, and I think that's what matters, you know.
Probably one of the most sensitive subjects in 90 Minutes was alcoholism. Son developing alcoholism from his father's death really was very sensitive to the whole movie. It really touched my heart. Also, another sensitive subject was werewolves. They actually are here, and they might get a little mad and offended by this whole film series. They're not monsters. They're real people.
my favorite scene, one of my favorite ones to film personally, as like an actor, right, is was the end scene of Revenge with father and son, you know, because at the beginning it was really just the core was father and son, and at the end it was father and son. So though we have, you know, the government and Private Eye and all these other characters and the Ultimate Hunter and Cleaver McGeever and you know, at the core of 90 Minutes is really father and son, and to bring it really full circle from them, you know, arguing and you know, just to the end there, it's really touching, you know, to film a scene like that with someone you've worked with for so long.
It was really difficult to film the final scene where father's dead, because it was just so emotional for all of us. Like, it was the end of 90 Minutes, and of course father, arguably the most beloved character in the series, was dead, you know. Like, there were several times people had to walk off the set with tears in their eyes.
When father rejects son, that really connected with me. Like when my son rejected me.
How old are you?
I don't know. Every time I watch the scene where father's laying on the ground and son runs up to him and then there's the exchange with the mustache, I don't know, that's... Like, I actually feel kind of sorrowful, which is really strange, but I think that says a lot about how invested we are in these characters and how invested we are in this project. But, like, and maybe I have a tendency towards melodrama as well, but I don't know. There is something about that scene that genuinely impacts me. Like, not even kidding. And I don't know why it is, because it's so over the top and it's so cheesy, but again, there's something about 90 Minutes that those really cheesy moments feel genuine. And I can't explain it, because 90 Minutes should not work. It shouldn't. But it does. And that's a scene that I always come back to and kind of watch. And I'm like, wow. And, you know, and the swell of music while son walks out onto the beach and he's walking down the shoreline, and then there's the swell of music as the sun's going down. Man, yeah, it's a powerful scene.
The scene that hit close to home for me was kind of most of the end of Revenge of the Werewolf, like after the bar scene, when it's just Son alone in the woods, and you're kind of there with him, you know, and you feel for him, because you realize like he's just been through a lot in the games, and now he's all alone in the woods, just trying to do the best he can, you know, and you kind of relate with him with that. And also, when his father dies, it's very sad, and you feel for him. And when he walks away, I think is honestly the most impactful scene for me, because the camera stays still, but he leaves, and so it's just kind of, it's a send-off to the 90 Minutes original trilogy, and that kind of hit it home for me, and it kind of tugged. Every time I watch it, it kind of tugs on my heartstrings. So.
Day one.
You guys want to give a little rundown of what we're doing? What we're up to?
Yeah. So this is the first scene. This is day one, right, Mike? Give him a little rundown.
Film the bar scene. First scene we ever filmed, Revenge of the Werewolf. This is where it all ends, or doesn't.
This is where it all begins.
Hello. Welcome to day one of 90 Minutes Revenge of the Werewolf. This is a werewolf. This is Wise Old Man. That's Son. Bartender.
I think shooting on location was it was pretty good. It gave us more of a, not just like your backyard movie type movie, like we had different locations. I think it made the movie real.
Well, location, it was hard sometimes. You know, like, the first two, Attack and Phantom, I mean, we were just in our backyard, so that was really easy. Like, just head on over, film some shots. But with Revenge, and also A Christmas Carol a little bit, we had to go find actual good places. It was really cold when we did Revenge, because it was the middle of the winter at that point. So we had to be in the... We went to that cave. It was just absolutely freezing. It was like a couple miles hike to get there, so...
Yeah, so then it would give us practice for the documentary. That'd be cool. All right, so head to shoot, hopefully, last scene of the day. So we'll see what happens. Are we going to go? We're going to go what?
Yeah, so 90 Minutes uses a couple different locations, as I'm sure you've noticed. A lot of them, for the first couple movies, for Phantom and Attack, are actually in our houses or around our house or in our yards or in our neighborhood or something. And it was kind of just all very local, things that were immediately present to us. And as we got more invested in the series and it got bigger, we started planning things out more. And we started thinking like, hey, I know a location that would work really great in this scene. So we started really mobilizing and organizing. And the first really big location we used were the power lines in Derry, and that's at the end of Revenge.
Oh, last day of shooting, 90 minutes, Revenge of the Werewolf. Very last day, wrap shooting today. That's right. Yep. How's everyone feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. Last scene is very integral. We can't tell you though. It's a secret.
But I think the hardest thing is after you've had a long day of filming, you know, I mean, some of these days we were really crunched for time, so we'd be filming from 9 in the morning to like 4 or 5 at night. You know, when all of these guys are out, you know, I'm at college, Robbie's at college, Levi has work, Luke has work, Josh and Mike have work, so getting us together at the same time for a lot of these scenes is really difficult. So when we had days that were free, we were really going after it. And part of it is we had to incorporate, hey, it's going to take us, you know, 30 minutes to get here or 20 minutes to get here. And I think Revenge was the biggest one. It was definitely the most ambitious for filming on location. For the bar scene, that is actually in Luke's grandmother's basement. And that's like 45 minutes away, and we had to drive there, and that was a day trip. It was really nice. His grandmother made us cookies and popcorn, and it was a fun time. But that was a whole day, just getting that one scene, because there was transport there and back. We really had to figure things out. The power lines in Revenge, I think some of you will notice kind of the cut. At the end of Attack, it's actually at the end of the summer, and we weren't able to film Revenge until winter break. So when we filmed most of the power line scenes at the same location, it was cold. It was really cold. It was like 30 degrees, and I'm out there and I'm wearing my vest and just these pants, and it was definitely not sufficient warmth. So that was difficult because that was really, really cold. You know, I'd be filming my scene, and as soon as I'd be done my scene, I'd go and grab a jacket and throw it on.
It's getting warmer.
It is getting warmer.
It is getting
I don't even need my jacket now.
I definitely need my
No,
jacket.
you do because you're in a tank top, but...
This most difficult scene to shoot was when Father fell off the cliff. Spoiler alert. It took a lot of tries because we had a fake body. It wasn't actually Luke falling. The fake body kept falling apart. It kept getting torn and it didn't land in the right spot.
Are you ready?
Nope.
On go.
Ready, go.
3, 2, 1, go!
We cannot use that. These are Father's remains. All the way up there.
And we had kind of been wanting to use that. I think we call it the clave because it's a cliff and then underneath it it's a cave. And we had been wanting to use that for the longest time because it's like the coolest location. It's like there's a cave, there's a cliff. Like, what better place to film a movie? So we decided, like, yeah, we're gonna put the end of 90 minutes. It's gonna be right there. It's gonna be, Father falls off the cliff. But the problem is the hike to get there is like 2.5, 3 miles away. So we had to drive 20 minutes and then hike in. And I remember when we shot that scene, it was myself, Luke, Robbie, and Mike.
Me and Rob Kilgore were walking through the woods trying to get these shots, and it was a hassle, man. It was a hassle. But I think it was worth it in the end.
We were making the body double for Father because we needed a body double to throw over the cliff for that scene where, you're looking up and Father falls off.
I mean, it got stuck, but that wasn't that bad.
So we were making that, and then we show up to the location, and we have this huge, stuffed clothing, this stuffed dummy, and we have to find a way to get it on location. And of course, that involved us hiking it in. We're carrying it by the legs and the arms, and people are walking by on the trail. And it was a couple people, wasn't like a lot, but a couple people walking by on the trail, and they're giving us the strangest looks. Like, it looks like we're carrying a dead body and we're looking for a place to bury it.
All right, so this is the werewolf, and this is our this is stuffed father is what we call him after a really big meal. So it's a really crazy shot.
Here we go. We're back over. Okay. Well, it was funny because when we were bringing him in,
Are you still rolling?
Those look like bloodstains, don't they?
They do look like bloodstains.
Yeah. So the guy who saw us was
awful.
probably
Oh
like,
god, I didn't
they
even
totally
realize.
just killed this kid.
And I'm wearing a fake mustache, which is pretty precarious.
Wait, Father doesn't have a real mustache?
No, it's real. Damon, how do we?
Oh, but
Is there too much of this? I don't.
No, you need as much of it as you can get, and then just stuff it all down in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a thick head. Yeah. And then do we want to unbutton this top one? Even more than this?
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh crap!
Oh wait, hold on. It's not gonna work. Hold on. God. Yeah.
Doing the B-reel here, trying to throw fake Father off a cliff. How's it working, guys?
Oh, what if we put the jaw in?
You're not listening to me.
And there's like a hook. Oh god, now it's going on. Crap, wait. Right. Hold on, we just need to get it. It's not working. It's this right here. It's the. Wait. So open up the pants. Open up the pants?
Yeah. Unzip the pants.
Hold on, Mike.
Sorry.
It's falling apart before we throw it off. Alright, what now?
Oh man. So you got in a belt.
Yeah, should we bring a belt? Should we get a belt? I'm not wearing a belt.
It's gotta have some dignity.
Let's hope it works, because we're doing it this time.
He's got some.
Oh wait,
hairs.
hold on.
Hoo-hoo.
Yeah, so we're gonna try.
Alright, so it's 3, 2, 1, and on go. We release it. Don't grab by the head, right?
2.
Hold on.
Watch
You
the
rolling,
back.
He's not rolling. Hold on.
Can you tuck his shirt in?
we were worried that the cops were going to get called. Like, seriously, we're 100% worried that the cops were going to get called.
We also shot in a bar, somebody's basement, little bar thing. That was fun. You know, it was cool to go there. It really gave it that feel of bar.
What is that?
No, it's like
Mystical energy?
not mystical energy, but like runes. You know?
That's awesome. Rune? That's way better than I thought it would look. Thought it'd be trash. No offense.
Thanks, Mike.
This is day one. No, not because you drew it, just like because.
Oh crap, I'm holding this upside down.
Is it upside down?
Yeah. That's actually really funny. Hey, want to hear something funny?
What?
I was holding your camera upside down for like half of the B-reel, and then I had to turn it back around.
You can probably flip it, it's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not too worried about it.
Werewolf's running.
How did that look? Good?
Oh yeah. Alright, let's stop again.
The circle scene was kind of rough. That was kind of the biggest scene we've done, really. The biggest production. We had the most people on set, and we had we had around 8 or 9 people working at once, which was it was rough to gather everyone together. And we had choreography we needed to implement, and we had different action scenes going on at once. We had an ATV in there, so we had hardware we had to deal with. It was quite the production. Definitely the hardest scene to shoot.
On the ATV, we had to use an ATV to get the whole running scene where they're both coming at each other and then it circles around. People don't notice that. They don't think about like what happens behind the camera. We had to drive to get that shot. It was kind of hard, but we did it.
The biggest issue that I can remember while filming was Robbie could not stay on his feet. Whenever we tried this running scene, he took 4 steps and tripped, or Chris tripped, or the fight didn't go right. There's a lot of miscommunications, but overall it went pretty well.
Luke and I had been talking about this for a while, and we kind of had an idea of what we wanted, and we wanted this like huge big fight scene. And then we got access to the ATV, and that idea kind of changed it a little bit. And there, where we thought, we can get some motion, and we thought about this like huge circle motion the ATV could do, and we could kind of circle around. And we did a test run, and that looked really cool. But we thought just like circling around over and over again, that looked kind of stupid. So what we needed to do was we ended up deciding to have this circle scene that meshed into these individual fight scenes that kind of like this whole big fight scene would kind of mesh together, and we had to choreograph a lot of it. I know like each individual pair, because it was Chris and who was Chris? It was Chris and Justin, and Chris Host and Robbie, and then me and Luke. And yeah, we had to choreograph individual fights that we'd be doing, and they had to both be going on in this giant circle scene that Levi circled like 2 or 3 or 4 times, and he's circling around, and we're just fighting the whole time. And then we filmed individually these little fight scenes, and then we cut.
And I guess Luke and I will do a little bit of individual fight, like maybe 2 seconds, and you cut it.
Why don't you stand right in the side of the camera, so when they're on the ground, he just jumps over right to you, and we can see all of it at once.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's do it.
The biggest example of that is, when the circle scene, I run in and jump over, I think maybe it's Justin and Chris fighting, and I land, so you get the motion of me jumping over, but then the next angle is Mike right here kind of seeing me land and punch Luke, and that is 2 separate cuts. So it worked out really well the way it kind of all came together, but getting all the footage for that and getting it perfect was a lot of filming, but a lot of editing too.
I think the hardest shots, they're always the hardest because they're the best looking shots, and they're the most impactful shots,
Alright, so you have 90 minutes, or else this werewolf is gonna eat you.
Well, the thing is, 90 minutes, in all that, it combines the relationship with father, son, and the fear from running from a werewolf. Well, you're potentially being viewed by millions of people around the world in the werewolf games. All that combined allows for the maximum impact for the viewer. You know, it all just comes together in 90 minutes. Get what I'm saying?
Because once the werewolves eat, they have 90 minutes before they need to eat again.
See, you have 90 minutes before the werewolf eats you, because it's part of the games. They might release more werewolves within the 90 minutes, because, you know, 2 werewolves are better than 1, as the old saying goes. If we have more werewolves, we have less time. Can't wait for the 20th games. You see, you have 90 minutes to kill this werewolf. The title comes from the first line. It is not the 90 minutes long that makes the title. The title is made from the movie, not the other way around.
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm an actor. I say the lines I'm given. I don't know. Ask the director.
See, unbeknownst to you, 90 Minutes actually takes place after Vietnam. In Vietnam. It's after the war. And all the leftover survivors of that war. Because, see, it's an alternate universe where the Vietnamese actually win. And so all the American survivors of that war are put into the werewolf games. And they each have, like, you know, about a week to survive. And if they don't make it out, and then they're just gonna get eaten by the werewolves, and that's just what it is. And that's what 90 Minutes is about. Sun trying to make it out before 90 minutes is up. You know, he can either defeat the werewolves or get eaten. And so it takes place in 90 minutes, an hour and a half, before the games end. So it's intense. You know, we go in right into the middle of the games, and it's on. You know what I'm saying? They're going hard, and so Sun, he just knows he has to get it done in 90 minutes, and he does. Spoiler alert, he gets it done before 90 minutes, actually. So that's why.
Because that's the game.
Why are none of the movies 90 minutes long?
Next question?
I'm sorry, I don't... Get this guy out of here. For the love of God. What? Next question, please. God.
They are 90 minutes long?
Aren't they 90 minutes long? I thought they were.
What? The movies are long.
What's 90 minutes?
Will there ever be another 90 minutes? I don't know. The world may never know. Actually, I don't think so, because it already happened, you know, the story was already told. Although, I guess there could be more to it. Yeah. You know, yeah, I'd say probably yes. Maybe. We don't know.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. 90 minutes is over. No more 90 minutes.
Of course, there's gonna be another 90 minutes if we can keep getting more ideas. We have that Ultimate Hunter series coming out. We're also gonna do some like cross dancing werewolf production stuff. You know, 90 minutes will never die.
Will there be another 90 minutes? I mean, I don't know. You know, you saw Phantom. You saw Attack. And you saw Revenge. So, really, will there be another 90 minutes? Who knows?
I think that depends on if the world needs another 90 minutes.
I can honestly say I have no idea. I hope there is because it's great, but I don't know.
I think 90 minutes has actually impacted me in a lot of very serious ways. I'm completely serious right now. I think one of the big things is I feel more equipped to take an idea and make it something that is real. You know, some of these things we just threw out this crazy idea that made no sense. We had absolutely no framework surrounding it. It was just like, hey, let's do this. And we went in, I think, pretty pretty naive to what it would take to do this, and we kind of learned along the way. But the key was we just dove in and we did it. And you know, we didn't have any hesitations, and we weren't like, oh well, I don't know if we could do it because of this. You know, we didn't overthink it. We just kind of went for it, and it worked. I don't know how it worked. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. And I think really that just shows me that if there is a will, there's a way. You know, that's the old cliche, but I think it's really true. And it's fun. It's something to do. It's something to do, and it's something that, you know, we're really invested in. And I think that might make 90 Minutes different from a lot of the other YouTube home movies you see. Like, maybe not necessarily technically, because, you know, technically it's probably on par with a lot of other crappy, you know, YouTube films. But I think what makes 90 Minutes different is, like, we approach it very seriously. Again, we know that it's kind of like this self-depreciating parody, like really bombastically ridiculous humor. But that doesn't mean that it's a joke. All of it, at least. And I think that's what makes 90 Minutes different.
Ready? Action!
I don't want to sound cliched in saying this, but 90 Minutes has literally changed my life.
There hasn't really been a day that's gone by, for real, that I haven't thought about 90 Minutes at least once.
90 Minutes is something that has really united us in a lot of ways, and united us, I think, creatively. When you kind of have something to rally around, it just draws you closer together.
Oh, man.
90 Minutes has impacted me pretty hard.
It's given me something to live for. Every day I look forward to the new 90 Minutes coming out. Every day, 90 Minutes. I see it, watch it, and I love it.
Like, it's hard being just walking down the streets and having someone go like, oh hey, can you say,
Why are we part of the games, Father?
It kind of gives me something to watch. If I'm feeling down, I watch Revenge of the Werewolf, and the ending scene with Son walking away, that always kind of gets to me, tugs on the heartstrings a little bit.
You know, it's kind of bigger than us. It's this 90 Minutes identity. And we can all get behind that, and we can all work towards that. And it's really kind of cool to see, and it's fun too.
Welcome everyone to the premiere of 90 Minutes 2.
It's a thing you can bond over, you know, while making it and while watching it. You know, it's something that you can have a good time with. I mean, it impacts me in a great way.
I think a lot less is impossible now.
It's really just a morality tale of loss and also gain, and of sorrow and also joy, and of strength and weakness, you know, and that's what every great story should be, and it really sticks with you.
What have you been doing on your phone this whole time?